Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Franklin. Welcome tonight. I hope you're all well. And hi, Sarah. and we're going to start in a moment. There's still some people joining. I can see Grüezi from Pennsylvania. Very nice. Sprechen Sie Schweizerdeutsch? Exactly. So welcome to you all from, I guess, mostly the USA. I'm currently in Zurich, Switzerland. So sorry about the fairly early time of day. Hello from Brooklyn. Yes, I know that place well. Tahoe, I've been there as well. It's great for skiing and other things. Minneapolis, I've taught in Minneapolis. Wonderful. So we're going to have a good time tonight, and the goal is for us to feel great in our body. If you already feel great, then maybe a little greater. And if you don't feel so good, then maybe it's an opportunity to feel better. But the focus, and this is actually, I haven't done something like this in a long time, so it's pretty special. The focus is really going to be on Franklin Method balls and equipment. So that might already be a problem because you don't have any of these things. So if you don't have, any ball-like object, then maybe you have a few towels you can roll up. So if you only have a towel that you can roll up, see, that's already going to be something. And I have actually different sizes of towels here. So I have a, medium-sized rolled towel, and I have some small rolled towels, but I also have a gazillion different types of balls. For those of you who, what is the Franklin Method, never heard of it, there's going to be a little introduction. And even if you've never heard of it, the Franklin Method has been around a long time. In fact, when I started, there were no bands at all, exercise bands, and there are hardly any balls. However, I know the roots of these things, and I think that we need to just for a moment, while some people are still joining, maybe talk about that. So where does this all come from? So when I started out in Middle Europe, there was really only, like a ball type like this. And I taught at the University of Zurich, the Institute for Psychomotor Therapy. I'm sorry if the camera's a bit fuzzy, but this is not the very newest model here of computer. What it is, but you can see me. And when I started out, teaching at the university long time ago, Institute for Psychomotor Therapy, so basically helping teaching teachers to work with children that have motor impairments, we had balls, but they were wood. They were made of wood. Wooden round balls, and we had like sticks made of bamboo that we would actually even roll on and do stuff like that. So that was, and then I also, and see, this is the roots of the whole thing. Anyone know where this all comes from? Well, I mean, there's probably different sources, but one source for sure for rolling on balls and rolling on things were Charlotte Selver and Elsa Gindler, and that would be a good thing to Google, because they were very early pioneers in somatics, and many people grew from them. And I was a student, not of them, but of one of their students, who was already, 90 when I studied with them 30 years ago. And that was probably 40 years ago, dare not say. And we didn't have any, fancy equipment like this, yeah? None of that existed, certainly no foam rollers. And it was pre-banned, and I know the story because I used these. We went to the store where you can get like different, household products, and we cut rubber pieces into lengths to use them to train with. And then came Hygienics Corporation, which was a dental hygiene corporation, and they figured out, oh, we can use the same substance to create stretchy bands. And I remember I had a meeting at an airport with them about this and talking about what kind of products they could develop. So I was actually involved a little bit in pioneering the band and the balls. Like, even though I don't have a copyright or trademark on it, that half ball you might have seen, that was my idea. and a bunch of other things that came after that. So so many people are doing ball things these days, and everyone's, saying, oh, the fabulous ball, method, whatever. No one around today, mostly, I mean, no one invented this. This was already 1915, 1920. The general idea was already there. So we've all developed the ideas. And then the other thing I'd like to just talk about just first, a lot of people ask me about all kinds of products. Is this a good thing? You think I should use this thing here? You switch here and then it vibrates, you roll it under your back, And I go, I don't know what to say about all those things, except if it makes you feel better, then it's probably good for you, right? But I like simple. I still use, the simple. Yes, we have some water-filled balls, things like that. I still use simple products. Now, what are we? Person I mentioned. Oh, Charlotte Selver and Elsa Ginder. Those are pioneers in the use of, balls and things like that in the somatic field. Yeah, there was a method called oitonie. And so that's what we had back then at the university, that heritage. And we didn't have anything plastic or anything. It was all made of wood, and it was like quite uncomfortable. Rolling pins, for baking, that was the foam roller. Yeah, exactly. And then what we also want to talk about tonight is, okay, what do all these things do? What do foam rollers and what do all these things actually really do based on the current evidence? And I think there's some really, really important surprises. Okay, I'll write that in there. So okay, I get Charlotte Selver and Elsa or Elsie Gindler. There we go. Yeah. So, yeah. If you're interested in the history, of course, what they did from our perspective is a bit outdated. You wouldn't really do. It would be too painful. But actually, as we'll see, pain is actually one of the ingredients, especially in the effect of some of the harder things we roll on, which is when you hear that, are you kidding? Well, that's what the evidence is saying. And assemble it before we start. So we have an hour, maybe a little bit more, and I also want to show you some slides. So we don't have enough time to go through all the Franklin method exercises that I've created over the years. There are many. But we'll sort of start from the top, go down the back, and then we'll just like do a nice mix for you. And you can do exercises in standing, sitting, and lying down. You can also, do exercises with a wall, rolling against the wall, and things like that. Also very helpful. And what we use them for in the Franklin method is to improve balance, improve flexibility, release tension, improve awareness, increase strength. So there's many, many different ways in which you can use the ball. So it's not just about, rolling around and, releasing fascia, which is not possible anyway, really with this equipment, deep fascia. You don't want it to release like that. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But first, make sure you have some water as well. I have a large glass of water. Voila. So now the first thing we're going to do is tap our body. So we're going to tap. And we can do that with our hands, but I would probably recommend for tapping the following equipment. So you can use the green balls. They have a very good grip because they have these little holes in it. So they're also very good for the elderly and kids. And we have the same version, smaller here. Aren't they beautiful? I don't know if you can see the color is different. So it's kind of blue. And there was a person who was using these, and she was like 100 years old. He said, this is perfect for elderly people because they can like hold on very nicely and hold on very nicely. I'm just looking at admin messages to see if everything's working technically. So you can really grip them very nicely, and then you can tap with them. Then you have the larger version like this. These are kind of all-round ball. You can use them for, you know, under your feet or shoulders. If you're sensitive, maybe not under your back. Then we have the air-filled orange balls. So we use these a lot. Now, it depends on how much you pump them up. So if you don't pump, you know, they can be very soft. So this is like rather very pumped. So fundamental idea is the smaller the ball, and the harder, the deeper it'll go into the tissue. So this is a small, hard, this will go very deep into the tissue. So if you, for example, if you're into these kind of things, you want to release here the subclavia. So here we have my clavicle. So I'm going to release that. This is a very, very good ball because it goes right underneath there, and you could use it on your feet and so forth. Yeah. And the larger the ball and the softer, the more it's about movement and the less about, you know, digging into the tissue. So this is an air ball, which I'm sure you know about. Then we have the water-filled balls, also great for tapping. So what they do is lots more rebound, more pressure. And so that brings us to one of the reasons why we have these different kind of balls, because they will activate different proprioceptors. So what are proprioceptors? Those are the sensory organs of posture and movement that allow you to sense your posture, your movement, what's going on in your body. And the better your proprioception is, the better you can move. So people, for example, with back pain, they have a worse proprioception, less proprioception, wrong proprioception, actually pain in general, and proprioception, they don't go together. So if you want to avoid pain or help, you know, get rid of it, improving proprioception is actually a big thing. So it's not just, oh, it's about sensing your body better. It's actually really good also if you have had pain or want to prevent pain or get rid of pain. So much more womp. If you've never tried one of these water-filled balls, I highly recommend it. So I'm going to use these here for tapping. And then we'll talk a little more about the proprioceptors as we go along. So let's stand up. I hope you have some space to do that. And the first thing we'll do, we'll just tap here very gently along the abdomen. I don't assume you've just had a big meal, because then this kind of tapping probably would not be the very best thing to do. And then you can also tap your lung and your heart and this whole area right through here. Very good. And if you don't have any equipment, you just use your hands for this. Very good. And then we're going to tap our legs. So we're going to tap the front of our legs all the way down to the feet. And with any of these things, if it's not comfortable or you don't want to do it, well, then don't do it, right? So, and I don't, you know, tap on my knees. I just jump over the knees. There's a lot of stuff we can do on the knees. We had a webinar yesterday on the knees, but this isn't it. I can show you some other things that I would recommend for the knees in a moment. So we're going to do outside of the leg, like this. Then we're going to do inside of the leg, like that. Very good. And then one of my, I know, favorite areas to tap are the glutes. So the glutes are great. Tapping, just before you do it, just a quick, the glutes are so great because the glutes don't really attach to bone, right? Only 20% of the fibers attach to the femur. So the glutes are really connected to the fascia of the thigh, the fascia lata, the fascia of the lower back. So when you tap the glutes, you are definitely releasing a lot more than tension just here in the glutes. You feel the difference in the lower back, you feel the difference in the leg. So glute tapping is actually a really good thing. So if you would have something with a little more power, remember, mass times velocity, you know, good old little physics. So if you have a little more mass here, you're gonna get more force into the tissue. But if you don't, you know, you can also just use your fists or the balls, and I tap like that. And now just a small little thing with respect to that, try not to do muscle it. So like you're working up here really hard as you're doing that, then you have more tension there, less tension down here, and then you work up here and you have tension, not good idea. So I would recommend doing the rebound technique. So it's sort of, you're using the ball to rebound off your body. And of course, some balls rebound better than other ones, obviously. And then you're going to tap your glutes all around. They're big. The glutes they go much further down than you might think, right? So here's this fold. The glutes go further than the fold, by the way. The fold is not here at the end of the glutes, just so you know, right? It goes way down. And then we also do some hip flexion. Exactly. And then we lift our legs as we tap the glutes. Good. And I hope you're breathing. That could be very useful. And then just notice, yeah, that's somehow released my lower back a little bit, maybe improved pelvic posture. And then, of course, the back tap is equally famous. And there's so many versions on that. And there's so many flavors and ways you can do it. And are you working more with the muscles or the fascia, or, you know, is your focus more proprioceptive and so forth? And we can't do all of that. And I have courses where I cover all of that in great detail. We'll talk about a little bit later on. So for now, we'll just do a general back tap. And important is not just always the same spot, but move up and move down and go, you know, to the side a little bit all around as you do that. So here we go. And let's tap our back up and down like this. And around, good. And we're breathing, of course. And then if you add some movement as you're tapping, a little bit of flexion extension, louder flexion rotation, it's going to be even more effective. So let's add a little more movement, flexion and extension. Good. And then a little lateral flexion. Good. And rotation. Good. And then notice what happened to your back. So probably, I even feel my shoulders are more dropped. The shoulders are more dropped and the lower back is lengthened, right? Isn't that a good exercise? Yeah, thumbs up to that one. And there's more flavors to it, just like for the, you know, people that really like information and details. So the lower back is not that well innervated. And right there, of course, you have thoracolumbar fascia. We don't know that much about the innervation of thoracolumbar fascia. What we do know, a lot of sympathetic nerve endings. So that brought science to the you know, possible conclusion. Stress very much affects your lower back. You've got these sympathetic nerve endings in there, you know, which have to do with the autonomic nervous system. There's two parts, that fight and flight, which is sympathetic, and the relax and release, which is the parasympathetic. So a lot of sympathetic nerve endings. But now let's talk about the muscles. And in the muscles, you have so-called spindles. Yeah, muscle spindles. You've heard of them, right? So they measure the change in muscle length, the dynamic length change, and so forth. But they're located in the deeper, more tonic muscles. In other words, in the deeper layer of lower back muscles that have to do with stability, right? You know, you have the fast twitch, slow twitch, maybe you heard of that, or red meat, white meat. So the red meat, right? And that's why doing it with movement and slow movement, which requires a little more stabilization from those deeper muscles while you're tapping, gets such a better effect. And if you have water-filled balls, even more. So that's a little bit of science behind it. You're trying to get those spindles going, and they're located in the, again, you know, fascia of the muscle in the so-called perimysium. So you're getting that going by moving and tapping at the same time, and of course visualizing what you're doing. So one of the big things in the Franken method is that we're using imagery and we're using self-talk to improve anything we're doing. And in my experience, 50% of the benefit of any kind of ball exercises, actually most exercises, is what is going on in your mind while you're doing the exercise. And they've done some research on this, and if you are doing the greatest exercise ever, and it's like such a good one, but you're depressed and you're having negative thoughts and you're thinking it's never going to help you, this exercise, you get nothing out of it. So it's not just the movement, it's also the mind. But we have just started tapping, so we need to tap a little more. So I'm going to tap my left arm now. So I'm going to tap the left arm all around. So you're going to tap the left arm. And now, tapping, of course, you're going to wake up certain proprioceptors, right? So, you know, the Italian brothers, the Golgi, you know, Ruffini, Pacini receptors, and they all respond a little bit differently. So if you want to get the Ruffinis going a little more, then you might want to push in a little bit and do a little bit of a rub like that, you see? And this is where I really like these balls, the Franklin method balls, because, for example, this is a water-filled roller. Isn't that beautiful? That's like nice and shiny. You could actually put it like as a piece of artwork. You can put it on a, you know, desk or something. And you see the grip I get with that? Now that really does help to activate these proprioceptors and also release the fascia. Of course, you could do it without a ball, but they really have good grip. They have very, very good grip. So you can do that. Good. And then if you have a lot of equipment, so if you have two things, you could put one ball like this in your armpit, and then you could take another ball. So I'm going to grab the air-filled version of the mini roller. Isn't that also very beautiful there? It sort of looks like a soap bubble, only it's, you know, it's plastic. And these things are phthalate-free, which means, you know, they don't have any toxins in or anything like that. So safe for children or household pets and whatnot, yeah? So then you tap with the other ball. Well, you have one ball in your armpit. If you don't have a ball, just a rolled towel like this. And the cool thing about a mini roll is that you can actually push in like that. You see how I can get a nice, exactly. So I go all around, and then I add a little movement like this, all around the shoulder. Excellent, very good. And then we're going to take the balls away, and we're going to compare the sides. And as you can see, some tension has been released, at least in my case. How are you doing? Everyone having a nice sense of some changes? Of course, you can do this all in sitting, absolutely. Stretch your arms out. Notice I did one arm here a little longer, maybe, like this. Lift your arms, notice changes in flexibility, but maybe even more interesting is stand on the leg on the side we practiced. So stand on the side and notice balance, and maybe even do a hop, elastic recall, and then let's go to the other side and notice your balance and do a hop and see if there's a difference. And probably you feel like a sack of potatoes on the side you didn't release the shoulders, and we're going like, okay, this is very interesting. What do the shoulders have to do with the legs? And then, of course, depending on what you studied, you know, if you're an expert in fascia, you say, oh, it's all fascia, you know, connecting. But if you're more into the nervous system and brain, you say, oh no, it's a neurogenic effect, has to do with, you know, crosstalk in the spinal cord, whatever. Everyone's right. That's all explanations feed into why this happens, right? Why, if you improve in one part, it improves the whole body, mostly on the same side, a little bit even on the other side. And now you're thinking, Eric, when are you going to do the other side? And we're going to do it now. So let's start with this general tap. Very good. So if you want just a little more, you know, haptic activity, so touch sensation, then and your sense of touch and proprioceptors are very related. Usually in the body where you have more skin touch receptors, which are exteroceptors, you also have more proprioceptors. So there's also crosstalk going on between the exteroceptors, the touch haptic receptors, and the proprioceptors. So think, oh, this is not proprioception, this is just, you know, touch perception. You improve touch perception, you improve proprioception. It goes hand in hand. And then you can do a little bit of the sliding, gliding, like this. You see, very nice. Excellent. There we go. Very good. And then let's finish up with ball in armpit. Let's see what I'm going to do now. I'll take this one. So I have one ball in my armpit, and then I just tap like that. Very good. Excellent, excellent. So tap away. And we're breathing. Good. Okay. And then we're going to take this away. And let's all just notice for a moment what we feel like. How does that feel? Anyone notice, for example, improved posture? Improved sort of general sense of well-being? And one thing we do in the Frankel method in the beginning of the class often is we just aim to stand there, feel our posture, feel our breathing, and not think. So just feel yourself, and instead of, you know, just constantly having a train of thought, just do that for a moment. And this is actually being able to sense yourself, sense your posture, breathing, body position, all these kind of things are very, very important for improving movement. What is the connection between being present in your body and better movement? Well, there's quite a few explanations, but one of them is if you're not present, you're obviously not noticing what you're doing. You're not noticing your movement habits in the moment. For example, shoulders tight, shoulders crooked, breathing stuck, pelvis off. You're not going to feel what you're doing. And where do most pains eventually come from? I mean, you get injuries, you know, you fall over this and that, absolutely. But also, suddenly, you know, your knee starts hurting, or suddenly, you know, your back, what happened? And these things come from your movement behavior over a long period of time. So if you want to change them, and it also applies, of course, to dance and yoga and Pilates and so forth, if you want to change them, you first have to become aware of what have I been doing that's not, you know, good for my body. And the part of your body that's going to have to change that is your own brain and nervous system. So no outer expert giving you advice can replace your own nervous system, because no one out there is controlling your movement. Hopefully not, right? So at one point, you are going to have to be the person that discovers, oh, this pattern is not ideal. I think I need to try doing it that way or this way. So in the end, it's going to be up to us to create the changes. I think one of the things that balls do for you, you have a moment of, oh, I feel more length in my spine, more released in my back. I really like that. The neurons in your brain pick that up, record that. And if you do that often, you become like that. So, you know, once is not enough. So you have to keep experiencing how you would like to feel to end up being a person that feels like that in general. Good. Let's talk a little more about the science for a moment before we go on with some more cool exercises. So we were looking at different ways to affect the body with the ball. So one reason I told you I really like these balls, because it's not just about tapping or rolling, it's also about gripping the tissue and moving it back and forth. So there's a frenzy of activity right now, research trying to figure out what do foam rollers do, you know, because foam rollers are a big business, yeah? I'm sure you know that. And of course, you want to have a good sales pitch. And I'm just being honest with you, because I don't, you know, I only use products that I like for myself. So I don't have like creating things to sell and I myself, I don't know, that's like nothing to do with me. That's not where I'm coming from. So I only have products that I think I really like them. They help me to make me feel better. And then why not show other people, you know, how to use them? And then we've created some of these things. It's like a mini roller, you know, very portable and everything like that. So the science right now is saying a foam rolling doesn't change fascial tension. Now, don't get angry at me, you know, talking to scientists. Like, so you're not releasing your fascia if you're rolling on your IT band. There's two things to say about that. Number one, you don't want to release your IT band, because if it's too released, it doesn't work anymore. Its function can't be fulfilled, which would bring us into a very long discussion. What is its function? A lot of people would say stabilizing the pelvis, only like 10 to 15% of its function. No, its function has to do with walking, and for that we'd have to go and do a much longer course, right? But it doesn't, and you know, they have special instruments that measure that. Because look at this, I'll try to show what I mean. So if you take a ball, right, foam, if this were a foam roller, and you just roll it over like that, all you're really doing is squishing the tissue, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You're activating proprioception, but you're not really doing anything that'll create more release. You can't just roll and expect the tissue to be looser, especially not the deep fascia. But what you can do, if you think of the thigh fascia, the, you know, IT band on the side of your leg, which is part of the thigh fascia, underneath that IT band is another muscle called the vastus lateralis. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one. And between the two is a little bit of loose connective tissue and a lot of so-called hyaluronan, which allows those two structures to move somewhat independently. They have to, otherwise you couldn't walk or run. So there's so-called fascial glide happening here. And you can affect fascial glide, and that will improve your flexibility, not by stretching out the IT band, but by releasing adhesions. There are adhesions. If you don't move, you get adhesions. If you don't move, the HA, which is a universal lubricant in your body, it's also in the synovia of your joints, right? If you don't move enough or you move incorrectly, you get too much of that, it starts sticking together like glue, literally. I know, I don't want to shock you. So rolling in a way where you can grip the tissue like we did and slide it is really effective. So I'm gonna, you know, do a very simplified model of this. I'm not gonna put any honey in between these layers. I just have a paper towel. But now if you have, you know, the muscle, and then you have the HA here, the lubricant, and you have the fascia right there, and I come with my ball, now this ball can grip the tissue and move it back and forth because it's nice and sticky and it's small enough. And if you have one of these, you can actually, you know, grip the tissue and move it in different directions. So that's why a ball made of plastic like this, that's a little sticky, can really help you improve that flexibility. However, now the research does say, oh, if you foam roll, you do get short-term improvement in flexibility, short-term, right? So, me for half an hour. What's going on? And this is like, whoa, when you hear this. There's something called conditioned pain modulation. So when you roll on a foam roller and it really hurts, maybe you've experienced that, or, you know, on a ball, it hurts, ouch. And the thing, what that does is it changes something in your brain, in the periaqueductal gray, someone will look that up, it changes something. And then if you stretch afterwards, you won't feel the stretch as much and you naturally stretch more. So for a moment, you think you're more flexible, but it didn't come from releasing that fascia, deep fascia, so you don't want to do that. So that's kind of interesting. So that's why I'm a big fan of having equipment that can grip the fascia and improve glide and proprioception, and of course also hydration if you want to get into that, as opposed to just instruments that roll and slide like that. Now, again, any equipment, foam rollers, water rollers, balls made of whatever they are, if they make you feel better, they are the right thing for you. That's the fundamental rule. This was just some of the more recent science that come up. So yeah, it does make you feel more flexible for a short while, but it comes from the brain and not from like somehow making your deep fascia looser. There's more things to say about that. I was at a conference in England, British Fascia Symposium, and I wasn't even there to witness it. I'm really disappointed. But people are asking, you know, this microbiologist, she was saying, oh, you know, those like foam rollers, they just squish the lymphatics and the capillaries and like, you know, and people going, oh my God, they squish, you know, they're not good. They recover, they get squished a little, they recover, okay, eventually. But then someone supposedly asked, I was told later, which ball would you say is okay for a general population to start with without squishing tissue? And she went around in the conference and she said, this ball here, I think would be okay for the safe ball for the general population to start, right? Now, exactly, yeah. So, yeah. The explanation of the rolling, exactly like that, and how it works. Someone's asking about that if it's written down somewhere. So just to finish this up, and she said, yeah, this one's safe. Now I also like, you know, things that are like, this is a very hard ball. We have it also. Now this here, you know, it's certainly going to squish some of your lymphatics, but sometimes you just want that, you know, digging in a sensation. So I'm not saying this is good or that's good. I'm just trying to give you the background and the science we're going to be talking about a little more afterwards. But I think it's time to do some more exercises. So let me look on my long list here of what we have. So what about doing something for the shoulders? Because that's kind of easy to do in a webinar. And then afterwards, we'll maybe do something in sitting and for the feet. So just to apply what we just said. So let's focus on the pec in this area because a lot of people have slouch. So how would you slouch proof yourself or your clients and get rid of slouch? We're going to work with the pectoralis major muscle. So let's focus on that, which is inside the pectoralis major fascia. And underneath is another fascia called the clavipectoral fascia surrounding the pec minor. And they have a gliding surface. The way you're going to get most out of it is you take a ball. For example, I'm going to take this one. So whatever you have, and if you don't have a ball, you just take a towel. And what you're going to do is you're going to put the ball anywhere where it's comfortable like this. And first, let's give a little wiggle to the tissue, sliding the tissue. So you're basically just moving the two fascial layers on top of each other, improving circulation, improving proprioception. And then we're going to move our shoulders up and down and out and in like this while we have the ball here. And this ball is pushing in and giving some pressure. And then let's do a circle. Very good. Now let's do the same thing with some tapping. The best way to release adhesions is to combine gliding like this with tapping. That's going to be very effective to unstick things. So let's see if anything happened after that. So I'm going to feel the openness here and the openness here. So maybe breathe into the lung you practice, breathe into the other lung, and you probably can feel, that's quite a bit of difference, right? Then take your arms and take them out to the side like that and notice, is there a difference in flexibility? Or if I take my arms up like this, or maybe a shoulder roll, which side feels more comfortable or has more range? So the name of the game, if it's comfortable, that's going to take stress, not just out of your body, but also out of your mind. If you feel comfortable in your body, you're going to necessarily feel more comfortable in your mind. So that's why this is not a waste of time from the point of view of general health. So anything you can do to feel more comfortable in your body will make you also feel, I feel good today, and like things are good, and it, you know, very related. Let's do the other side. So what was I saying? Combine the glide, combine gliding. You see, this is excellent for that. With movement, right? Like this. And also a little bit of tapping as you're moving. And then you don't really need that much to get a very big effect. By the way, notice, you see how this is also stretching this? This is the platysma. And that's a very interesting muscle because the platysma is a muscle embedded in the superficial fascia, and it has a lot of proprioceptors. So that is very effective. And now if you have more than one, ball, like 2 balls like this, you can do this. You can do both sides like that. You can tap like that. You can tap and rotate like this. Good. You can tap on top of your shoulders and rotate. You can do some lateral flexion even, like this. If you can, rub also on your sternum. So the sternum rub, very, very good. So let's review that. You're tapping with 2 balls, you're gliding with 2 balls, and you're doing movement with 2, like this. And then we had the shoulder tap right on top of the trapezius, and then some rotation. Whoa, okay. And then let's see what happened. So I'm putting my hands on my lap and just noticing I have great sitting posture. Anyone else? Yeah, shoulders very dropped, spine super lengthened. And now if I check my flexibility, whoa, yeah, flexibility has greatly improved. And it's not just, oh, these ball exercises are great. It's your brain noticing, wow, this is what good posture is. This is what it's like when the shoulders are released. Yeah, just notice the difference in your mental state between, I know we shouldn't do it, but we have more exercise coming up. So it'll be right back to the optimal state. So let's just take our shoulders forward and our shoulders up like that. And just notice now if you do it, so shoulders like this, like a little bit slouch, right? So, and then say, and I feel really confident. I feel like really positive about things. Yeah, very confident. That's not a fit. And then go back to here, right? Open like this with the lengthened spine, like that. And then say, I feel awful. I don't feel good at all. I feel terrible. And now you also know it's not a match, right? So it's not just about, oh, I'm releasing some kind of fascia. It's also about your mood. And inflammation follows your mood. Whoa, whoever came up with that? Yes, we have more and more research, right? Bad mood, more inflammation, better mood, less inflammation. I can go, I can't do anything about that. I just have. Yes, you can. You just noticed a little bit of tapping with some balls, and already you make a difference. You improve your posture, release some tension. It'll put you already in a better mood. If you cannot do it mentally, you can do it physically like that. So this is a much bigger thing than just like a little bit of ball tapping. How about neck? Yeah, neck, jaw, always good to have something for that. And while we do that, if you do have it, if you do have the equipment, then why don't we take 2 balls and we're going to put them under the sit bones, or just in front of the sit bones of the pelvis. So here would be a pelvis, and you would put the balls like a little bit in front like that, yeah? I mean, underneath. So you're going to sit on the balls. So if you do not have that, or you only have 2 balls and you want to use them for that, because we need the other equipment as well, then you're going to take your rolled towel and sit under your rolled towel, right? So if you only have a towel, you can do this. And otherwise, you need several towels and you can do this. So I'm going to sit on these like this. I'm going to sit on those. Or sitting on the balls. There you go. And the why I like this is because you have 2 independent balls, and they force you to be more active in your pelvic floor and your lower back and your abdominals than if you'd have one big thing you're sitting on, right? Which kind of like holds it together for you. But now your sit bones can move a little more independently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do just a little bit of forward and back rock. So I'm rocking a little bit front and back like this. Exactly. Then I'm going to go a little bit back and forth like that. And then I can do as if I'm walking. So one sit bone front, one sit bone back. So sort of like this, sit bone's going like this. So walking, and we can do that relatively fast if you would like. Good. The next exercise I call push-ups or sit-ups, whatever you want, for the pelvic floor. Because what we're going to do is we are going to, take one of the balls away so that we only have a ball under one sit bone. And then the other sit bone is going down to the chair and you're going to lift it up again. And this requires the pelvic floor to do some exercise, lengthening and shortening, eccentric and concentric contraction. So I'm going to leave the ball under my left sit bone, and no, this is not the most comfortable, but that's the exercise. And then you're going to lower the other sit bone down on the floor and to the chair. Floor would be a bit much. That's like next class. So just down to the chair, and then you're lifting it up again. And you can see the sit bones should go apart, and then you're going to pull them together again, and sit bones apart and together again, and apart and together again, and apart, right? Lift that sit bone. Good. And now swing that free sit bone front and back. So the sit bone that's in the air, just swing it front and back. And for those of you who are still, a little bored, I need a little more challenge. Why don't you try to do a circle with the free sit bone, circle in both directions. Now that's going to be, of course you're feeling this in your hamstrings, my God, please. Then just stop if it's uncomfortable. But if you can, good. And let's enough of that, right? And then we're going to compare. Well, first of all, you're sitting like extremely, on the ground, very grounded. This is very good for grounding. So if you have too much thinking, too much worries, oh my God, what is going to happen? Then, sitting on balls, you can see, of course, the same standing on them, but it really grounds you, like super groundedness. Yeah, and of course, you feel a little difference between the side you practice, like that sit bone is even further down. So let's do the other side. Just a few times. So this is a great pelvic floor exercise, just in sitting. And obviously you can also do it with the mini roll. Fabulous. Mini roll is fabulous for pelvic floor exercises in sitting and also in lying down, and also for the sacroiliac. So going up and down, very good. So you know what we're doing. I have a ball under one of the sit bones and I'm lifting the other one up, concentric. So you think of really, like stretching the sit bone away, then swing the sit bone front and back. Very good. And then see if you can do a figure 8. Exactly, figure 8. Or just a big circle, whatever you would like. Then let's put the sit bones again under the balls under both sit bones. Yeah, okay. And then just like do a little improv. So whatever you want to do, like this, exactly. I was always told, sit still in class. So, in whatever, kindergarten. So let's do the opposite of sitting still, because it's really good for you. Remember, people with back pain have less movement variability. People, so we want to have variability always in our movement, not always just like fixed types of movement. Let's do a little lateral flexion with the balls under our sit bones. Let's do a little rotation. Good. You notice how the spinal rotation will translate into how the sit bones move, and that has to do with the Franklin method. Bone rhythms, how that all relates, and how the spine relates to pelvic and sacroiliac movement. Then let's take the balls away and notice for a moment your sitting posture. So we're very, very grounded, very, very lifted, very toned, yeah? right? So positioning the mini half balls, the next question I'll answer that. So super grounded. Now you could do all of this with the addition of something I'm going to show you next, combining it, which is going to be super effective. But first I want to answer the question, how would you position such a ball under your pelvis? Well, in any way you want. So you can position it like this, like that, you see? Or you can also position it like this under your perineum. You can position it like that, yeah? And of course there you're going to get some proprioceptive input right into the pelvic floor fascia and the pelvic floor muscles, right? Super duper effective. Yeah, so there's so much I could show you, but I think we should quickly do 2 or 3 things in standing and also with the ball over there, yeah? So I'm gonna move this over here, like that. And there we have a bit of a ball. It's not much, but it's what I have. And so you can either take, you know, 2 balls like this next to each other, or you can take, you know, 2 balls like this, or you have a mini roller. And if you have none of that, then you just take a towel, a rolled towel once again. And I'm going to put it behind my back. And there's different ways to put it behind your back. So you can put it this way or that way, this way or that way. Let's start with this way. So I put it like here against the wall. And this is an obvious thing to do. You go up and down. Okay, kind of like a little bit, yeah, nothing new under the sun, exactly. However, again, due to the stickiness of the ball, you can actually also go sideways and glide the fascial tissue. And that's what's really interesting. Exactly, progression for pelvic floor. If you have those kind of questions, I highly recommend come to the Franklin Method teacher training, where we'll show you all about the pelvic floor muscles and fascia, lots of great exercises. And actually it's for participants of this webinar, it's $500 off. Oh my, yeah? So we'll send you information on that afterwards. So what I'm trying to say is I have the ball here and I'm going to go sideways, you see? Even though the ball can't roll sideways, I go like this. This is going to really free up the lower back. And we know that lack of fascial glide in the thoracolumbar fascia, the lower back fascia, is associated with back pain. So I go up like this, up and down. So I have the ball like this and I'm going back and forth. And I sense afterwards absolutely fabulous. I can put the ball this way under my sacroiliac or sacrum and then roll over the sacroiliac joint back and forth. So I can, now the ball is this way and it's under here and I'm going back and forth like that. And the ball stays in place. You see, with the foam roller, it would be more difficult, but this one stays nice because it's a little bit sticky. And then I go like that. And now I can also do upper body movement. So the balls are, I can go like this and like that. This is super, super effective, as you'll see, also under the lower back, like that. And you can do the same thing on the floor, lying on the floor. And then, of course, this one here is absolutely fabulous. I can place the ball between my shoulder blades, you see, between shoulder blades, like that. And then, of course, just going like this feels good. Oh, yeah, very nice. This is great. And then you can do reaches like that. Exactly. Same thing. This is on, or you can do this on the floor. It's really, really fantastic, yeah? And you can do it behind your neck as well. Behind your neck, and you can do like neck rolls. I roll with the neck like that, and I can also do a little sideways like this. I know it looks a little odd, but it's super effective, yeah. Good. Ooh, I like that. It's really good at the base of the neck as well. Wow, nice. Very good. So you can just do your 5-10 minute workout here against the wall with the ball, and you're going to notice it's going to greatly improve your posture. Notice posture after that. Oh, fantastic. Wow. Super duper lengthened, I feel. Yeah? Really, really nice. So, yeah, what else do we have? Oh, a ton of exercise, but first make sure I have all the announcements, announced. And one is, you're going to get, with the replay, you're going to get a page, a resource page. With the replay, you're going to get a resource page, and a free video lesson comes with that. And also we have half price off a much larger course on balls, a longer one that's an online course called Ball Fest. So if you're intrigued, Ball Fest online course, and that's going to be on the resource page. And we still currently have, due to world events, we have 50% off of our online courses in general. Yeah, and we have webinar replays. But with the kind of depth of questions you're asking, then you should consider looking at doing the teacher training, where we really go through the whole body and do all the exercises and learn all the imagery and the functional anatomy. Yeah, might as well just, we'll just take a few more minutes, like 2 or 3 more minutes. So don't run away. We did start a little bit late. So a few more fabulous exercises coming up. But let's look at some slides just to have a change of pace. If I can find the slides, and here are the slides. So I'm not going to be able to show you all the slides, yeah? So if I skip over them and it's like, whoa, they're so fast, I couldn't see it, then that's on purpose, right? Because I have too many slides. Can you see this slide? Can you see it? You can? Good. You can see it. So the Franken method is a codified, structured, imagery-based approach for movement and postural retraining. We focus on embodiment of functional anatomy, correct biomechanics, through mental imagery. We use metaphors, anatomical concepts, a lot of, as you saw, proprioception, interoception, and so forth. And it's evidence-based. So now you might think, well, what is that? Well, a lot of methods refer to science, but we've actually done science on what I'm doing with you. So on the Franken method to see if it works. We have some really great papers out, and a lot of them are open access. So please take a look. I'm going to show you a few in a moment. And see, I skipped that. It's a funny one. But what is imagery? Well, you have the capacity to create in your mind actual pictures, sensation experiences that have physical effects. And these can be anatomical, or these can be exaggerated or not possible, but they have a physical effect. There's lots of research on this. The cool thing about imagery is you can change perspective. It's very creative. You can use it in daily life, in sports, and you can combine it with equipment. So you can see here, I don't know if you ever heard of them. This is the Alvin Ailey Dance Company, and they're using the Franken method balls. Dance, improv, and proprioception with, ball tapping. You can see they're having a good time. And then over here, this is the US weightlifting. So these are the weightlifters. And you see all the Franken balls in the band. So you can see how varied the application. We also have Franken method for horseback riding. Lots of Pilates students and teachers and yoga teachers and dancers also attend our courses. So I'm going to skip over this. One reason I like imagery and like to combine it with what we just did, for example, is imagine if you'd have a tool that improves flexibility, strength, stability, motivation, concentration, cognition, improves your self-confidence, and it's free. So you get all that for free. More motivation, right? Better self-confidence and flexibility and strength, and it's free. It's your mind, but you got to learn how to use it. some of the research we did, and we're very proud of this, just came out. This is the first ever paper on fashion imagery with Amit Abraham and Carlos Deck and Robert Schley. So that's also open access, exactly screenshot that, but it's open access anyway. So take a look at that. Franklin is also famous for the bone rhythms, right? So very much used now also in Pilates. That's from the Franklin method. There's endless amount of exercises. This is from Conditioning for Dance, the book Conditioning for Dance. So I have all these books here, and they're actually, Dynamic Alignment, for example, that book, it already came out in 1996, so that was pretty early on. So if you don't know any of these books, this is Dynamic Alignment, this is Dance Imagery right here. And the other ones, well, you just, they'll be on the research page. And this one, for example, is full color and has all these pictures in them. Then I have all these smaller little books, right? So available from OPTP, and they have lots of ball exercises in it. I don't know, it's been a long time. I think it's approaching 30 books in like 20 languages. So check them out if you also want to look at more exercises. So, and you see we make all these neat drawings and we show what we're doing and how we're affecting. This is just a diaphragm stretch for the posterior diaphragm. We combine it with imagery, wind blowing between the shoulder blade and the rib cage. Imagery combined with exercise is basically what you're seeing here. Can you see all the different slides? Yes, is it moving along? Yeah, okay, very good. So yeah, the image supports the movement and the exercise. So we looked at some slides. I'm very happy about that. Let me just quickly unshare this. Another thing which is unseeming but very interesting is this little spiky thing. And there's many, tools out there like that. But if you just want a quick release of your whole arm, you could also, and this is great also for mental tension release, you can do a nice little rub with this between your hands, like that, palmar fascia. Of course, you can do the same under your feet. If you do this for a moment, immediately afterward, it feels sort of like your brain has dropped. You're like, just, much more relaxed. Of course, you could also use a little ball like that. So nice fast rub like this. And it's right, really gets your parasympathetic system going. Then, of course, if you wouldn't mind standing up, we're, coming to the end, even though there would be a lot more to do. We can, of course, also put the balls under our feet. In these days, a lot of people are doing this, but this has been around for, again, forever. Putting balls and putting your feet on it is nothing new. I just wanted to show you one of my favorite instruments for that. And that is this here. This is the US version, and this is the European version. Different colors, pretty much same thing. And the spikes are relatively soft. So this is great for under your feet. And this is also great for your IT band. So if you want to roll your IT band and really get some actual fascial glide, this is going to grip it, the IT band, and really you're able to move it back and forth. You can even just do it with your hand like that and get a nice release through here and the whole leg fascia. And I was telling you, what can we actually do for our knees without touching our knees or, tapping our knees? You can do exactly that. You can take two balls. It doesn't have to be these. You can use, these will work as well. So just do it on one side. So we hold the tissue here, the muscle in the fascia above the knee, not on the knee. And you just do some fascial glide. You see that all around. So rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, if you know where the tendons are, and the musculotendinous junctions, that can also help. You can really dig in, you see like that. Maybe a little bit in back as well. And then you do the same thing with the lower leg fascia, with the crural fascia, a little bit through here, not on the knee, like that. See how I can grip and like really move? And now you compare the knees, you compare the side. So you stand on the side you practiced and notice your knee, and you stand on the other side, and on the side you practiced, you're going to feel much more resilient, and the knee is going to be more comfortable on the other side. Before you go running, before you do anything that involves your knees very much, this is a great thing to do. So just a little bit like that. Very good. Excellent. So even if you have current knee pain, you can release above and below. Then, of course, you can put many, many different kinds of balls under your feet, depending on what you're looking at. So I hope you can see this. These are the green balls. And I wouldn't, I would be a little bit careful to start with. So the first thing that's good to do is a little bit of ankle movement. I hope you can see this. So a little bit of flexion and extension in your ankle. Can you see that? Maybe I should take a ball that's a little more visible. I don't know if this one here, you can see this better, red. I do like this, and then what I do is I put the heel on the ground and I just roll the forefoot back and forth on the ball like that. It's very good. And then also, as with the hand, do some really fast rolls. And then shift your weight on the ball and see if you can balance for a moment. So you want to get your hip over the ball, like that. So you balance like that just for a moment. Good. And that's probably all it takes for you to feel much more grounded on that side. So I feel your roundness on that side, a little hop, and compared to the other side, yeah, you can really feel all up the chain, even knees and hips. It feels a lot better. So just preview the other side. Ankle, forefoot back and forth. So I'm touching the ground with the outside and the inside of my foot as I do this. And then I do a super fast jiggle like that. And of course, you can have a ball like this. Oh my, that feels so good, yeah? Like that. And you can also stand on the ball like that, right? So this one here is actually filled with air, so this is really, really good. So foot exercises like that. So now let's finish up with some absolutely wonderful exercises for the upper body. And I promised you a little bit for the neck as well and the jaw. So let's start with that. So just notice how we feel for a moment. So we're going to do about 5 more minutes. So good. We probably already feel pretty good. So can we like add on to that a little bit? Let's see. So I'm going to maybe show you this ball also. This is also a water-filled ball, but I don't know if you can see it with this camera, which is not the best, but it has like, it's kind of rough. So it's really good also for gripping the tissue and moving the tissue around, improving proprioception and fascial glide. But I'm going to just go to these balls here. And the neck roll for your neck, actually notice what your neck feels like before we start. Lateral flexion, flexion extension. The neck roll, very careful. Never roll on the front. No. Okay, so it has to be on the side and the back. You see how I roll? And I do a little bit of a nod as I roll. And it's sort of a combination of rolling and squishing, like pushing together. Yeah, very good. So roll and squish. Remember, breathe. Exactly. See, I'm taking my elbows way back like that as well to get a little stretch through here. So I'm not there. I'm like more like this. Good. Nice little squish. Then we'll do a little bit of a jaw jiggle, and you can make a sound. And ideally, you're here just in front of the ear on the masseter. Masseter, very, very strong muscle. Strongest muscle, somatic muscle in the body for its size. Like that, a little jiggle here. And then we're actually going to put the ball on our head and see if we can move the skin a little bit. You're not really moving the skin, you're moving something called the gallia aponeurotica. So you're moving the superficial fascia here of the head, and that's very, very calming as well. So if this kind of ball doesn't work, then you might want to, for example, take something that, this works better, that has more of a grip. So you can see it does come in handy to have different types. So anyone who's stressed, anyone who wants to upregulate his parasympathetic nervous system, which is good for your health, a little bit of a jiggle here, jaw release, neck release. There we go. And after that, you just probably feel slightly spaced out, but super lengthened also in your spine. I'll add one more to that for the neck. I love this one. When you put the ball just under the ear and behind the earlobe, you see that? There's a bone here called the mastoid process. So you do a very gentle little roll there, and I push up, and I do a little nod, like that. Ooh, feels good. You don't need much of that, and you're going to feel super lengthened in your neck, like very, very lengthened. Then take, choose whatever ball that's most comfortable, and we're going to put the balls in our armpit. So we're coming to the finale. So armpit, great place to put the balls. I've got a lot of muscles coming into that area, a lot of fascial layers, axillary fascia. So really, really good. And the first thing is imagery. Just imagine your shoulders melting down like ice cream, over the balls, ice cream melting down, or honey if you don't like ice cream, or olive oil, whatever, just the idea of shoulders melting down. Then lift up and exhale and drop. And imagine the shoulders dropping all the way down to the pelvis. It's exaggerated, but helps. Right. So just let go of everything you don't want anymore, in general. Then let's do a nice little roll. Inhale, exhale. Exactly. Good. Other direction as well. Wonderful, very good. Nice and juicy shoulder blades, slippery, slidey on your back. Maybe your shoulder blades can be slippery bars of soap. Then you can do one shoulder, the other shoulder, a little more dynamic like that. Yeah, there's many combinations. You can combine this with balance exercises. And also what we didn't do, which also we can do exercises for the organs. We can do exercises for the core using balls, improving breathing, diaphragm. So let's do lateral flexion. And in the lateral flexion, I like to lift the shoulder and just drop it down. And you see how I drop and then I go back to the other side, yeah? Good. Excellent. Then let's just do a little hop. This is miniature like hop and shake. Very good. Then take the balls away. Whoa, and just for a moment, notice your posture, notice how you feel. Probably super dropped shoulders, super lengthened spine. You feel that? Yeah, really good. So let's finish up with this. So this is a little, mood elevating series. So whenever you feel like I need to, elevate my mood, feel a little more bouncy today. So bouncing is associated with a better mood. There's actually even some research on that, and kids like to bounce, and if we're cheering, yay, So interesting, we can use those things in our daily life. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap our glute the way we did, and we're going to tap our lower back. We're going to do this while we're doing a little hop like that, yeah? So glute and lower back. Use the rebound of the ball. So not working hard, but using the rebound. You do about 4 on the glutes and 4 taps on the back, yeah? And it looks like this. Tap, 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 tap. Good, and we're breathing. Good. Good, that's plenty. Really improves your posture and releases any tension in your lower back. So a little rib cage tap while we consciously breathe in and out. Okay, last exercise coming up. Let's do the announcements one more time. And the announcements are, we have a level 1 training entirely online coming up. You can do it from the comfort of your living room. And you have $500 off for this course if you sign up or you just like register within a week. Okay, so you have 1 week for that opportunity. And then we have half price of Ball Fest, which has a lot more ball exercises. And our online courses are 50% off still. And you get, with the replay, a resource page with a free video lesson. So, so just reach up like this with your arms as if you're cheering. Yay, yay, yay. And you don't even have to be in a good mood to start. You just like do the movement and the mood will follow. And then you want to do this sort of with an elastic rebound. You can swish the ball a little bit at the end. And then let's see if we can do it with a little bounce. Doesn't have to be much, sort of like that. So I'm squishing the ball at the end and I'm thinking, yay, yay, yay. Whoa, good. And now after that, I'm sure you feel a little more, yeah, actually, yay, yes. Good. So you can even do that with your balls, and it was great having you here for this course. There's a lot more. Maybe we'll have a second edition. What about that? So have a wonderful rest of your day. I know you still have your day in front of you. And yeah, here in Middle Europe, we're kind of done. Maybe a little bit of dinner. And stay well, stay healthy, stay happy. And yeah, see you soon. Bye-bye.